A lot of you know that I'm from a large family with 12 siblings, and we have these family reunions every 3 or 4 years. It was supposed to be 3 years, but last year got postponed to this year. So it's going on all weekend, and I was with my family yesterday. So these are just the descendants of my parents, and the number is between 120 and 150, maybe 160 people. And my nieces and nephews did all the planning. Because there's so many, and sometimes I know my nieces and nephews, but I don't always know my great nieces and nephews. And when I did know them, they've sort of grown up, so they look different. So one of the things they did in planning this was they assigned a color to each of the 13 siblings so that their family line would be a particular color, and you could say, oh, that child must belong to this one. I got assigned the color gray. Talk about bland. Even if it was scarlet and gray, I could live with that. But it was just gray. I could live with black. I have a whole closet full of black. But gray. And then today, I'm going to leave here after this Mass, and go back to this is at the Souders place in Archbold. There's a lodge there and campground and everything. But anyway, I'm going to be having Mass with the group. And then after that, we have a dinner. And the meat is being provided, but everybody was assigned to bring items in. So not only had I been assigned the color gray, I was assigned to bring bread. My sisters and their families got to bring, desserts and vegetables and side dishes. So I have to ask my nieces and nephews who put this together, you really don't think I have much imagination, gray and bread. I think if I yelled loud enough, by the way, I am going to wear gray today, but if I yell loud enough, maybe the next time I'll probably get purple or something. But anyway, about 3 weeks ago, as I was looking ahead, planning for this liturgy that comes today, I realized it is all about bread. I get to bring bread. And we just heard the story of multiplying loaves and fish, loaves of barley bread. By the way, you can buy barley bread, I found out, but I'm not bringing it. But loaves and fish. This is as I said in the homily last week, this is actually the apex of the entire summer of gospel readings. We've led up to it the last couple of weeks. This story is so significant. And we're going to continue. This is chapter 6 of John's Gospel. We're going to continue this for the next 5 weeks. So this is what it's all about. It starts with simply Jesus feeding the crowd, loaves and fish. But I want you to think about it a little bit. What's this really all about? Is it a miracle story? Of course it is. But it's more. It's Jesus aware of the needs of the crowd, but even more than that. This has incredible Eucharistic indications in John's Gospel, especially because it's all about the chapter where Jesus says he is the bread of life. That's where we're going to head with this. But it starts with the bread. And it's also a bridge from the Old Testament. You heard in the book of Kings, the first reading, the prophet Elisha feeding them with barley loaves. But we also will hear in next week and the week after about how Moses fed the crowd in the desert with manna. So that's the Old Testament reminder that God provides. And in the New Testament, we know it's all leading up to the Last Supper where Jesus gives himself. So this passage is the bridge in between. Jesus feeds the crowd. Now, think about this. Andrew says, there's a kid here. There's this boy here with 5 loaves and 2 fish. What was he doing with the 5 loaves and the 2 fish? Was he the one who because he had a backpack, he was the one who had the food for the whole family? Is the rest of the family out there? We don't know. Was he supposed to be taking this food to somebody else? I can almost hear his mother say, now, here's some loaves and fish. Take this to your grandmother's house. And by the way, don't get swept up with that crowd and go out and listen to that itinerant preacher. But he was out there. Did the boy object to the fact that his loaves and fish were being shared with everybody? Or was he kind of proud of the fact that, gee, I can make a difference? And when you go somewhere, do you take food with you? I was in the national parks earlier this summer, and I noticed everybody took food with them. That was a standard thing because there's no restaurants. You're out for the entire day or more. Everybody seemed to have a cooler in their car, and everybody would stop. You'd find picnic tables and or eat in the car or tailgate, whatever it was, but people would stop and eat sandwiches. That was standard. But do we always take food with us? Maybe some trail mix. Do we take loaves of bread? Do we take fish? So Jesus took what was brought, and he made a difference out of it. What do we bring, really? What did you bring to the Mass today? And I don't mean what car you drove, but what do we bring when we come to a gathering? I think in this gospel, we have to be like the crowd. We bring our hunger. And not just our hunger for food, but our hunger for meaning in our life, purpose. Maybe we hunger for direction. Where are we going with our lives? Maybe we're hungering to belong and to be accepted. We are hungering for unity because we all feel the anguish of division. That's what we bring. But as we bring it, we also have to bring something else. And the other thing we have to bring with it is a humble openness. Because if we're closed, we're not going to accept what's given to us in the first place. So we have to be open. We bring that as well. And the Lord then can work with us. That is the challenge of this reading. Simply to realize the Lord is giving us something special. So my other question is, what do we take with us when we leave? Hopefully we will be fed. We take with us something that will guide us through the day. I hope we also take trust with us. The trust that God is there for us in one way or another at all times, no matter what. Because I started by talking about my family, I'm going to end by talking about my mother. My parents have been gone for a long time, but all these people gathered this week were descendants of mom and dad. And my mom, being a mother of a large family, spent a lot of time putting food on the table. And she did a pretty good job. We were fed well. But as growing kids, guess what? We were always hungry for more. And I think if you remember when you were 11 and 12 years old, hunger was a constant. So we would finish the meal, and we're still sitting there. And I don't know how many times we'd look in the plate of meat or the potatoes or the veggies. It was gone. But there was something else. My mother loved to bake bread, and she baked 5 to 7 large loaves 2 or 3 times a week, and with homemade jam and jelly. And so Mom's line was always, if we said we were still hungry, Mom would always say, fill up with bread. Fill up with bread. And we did. And I still love to eat bread. The next few weeks, as we hear this chapter 6 of John's Gospel open up for us, and we realize the Lord is filling us up with the bread of life.